power group, or I don't know. Is it true that every school has like a power group? Is that true? And here's a little trick. When you ask that question, so there's a rule. Like, let's just put it this way: when you play poker at a table, there's a rule about poker, and it says that if you can't spot the sucker in 30 seconds when you're playing poker, then you are the sucker. So there's sort of this thing, the same thing with like a power group. Like, are there power groups in your school? And usually the people who say no are in the power group. It's like, yeah, I see that now. No, I have not heard of this. Is it rated R? Can I see this? Okay. Oh, yeah, the Duff. Hillary, yeah. Anyway, so, have you ever thought about this? Have you ever wondered why the power group has such a negative connotation? Why can't the power group in your school be like a completely positive group? Like, oh yeah, everyone loves everybody. In our school, like everyone loves everyone. Why? Because they lead the way. Because the power group loves everyone. Like it never works that way. Does anyone have a school where like everyone just loves everyone because the power group is benevolent and kind? Like, everyone wants to be in the power group, and so therefore there's envy and strife and backstabbing and. Yeah. Oh, I know. Because my wife is not here, I will say that I think she might be one of these mean girls in her own little friend cluster. Anyway, she doesn't mean to be. It's just like, she's beautiful and blonde, and people hate that. Anyway, so no, it's true. Life is different for her. Like, she told me to go run an errand. She's like, just pull the car up to the store. They'll load your groceries in. They'll put those big heavy bags in for you. And I was like, no, they won't. What are you talking about? Like, oh, they'll give you discounts because they always give me a discount. No, that's not true. They don't give me discounts. Life is very different for my beautiful wife than it is for me, the large Asian man. All right, so let me ask you this. Let's listen to Jordan's story. You just know is not good for you. Like, what do you do? Like, how do you deal with it? How do you get away from them? What if you can't get away from them? What if she just keeps calling and won't stop texting you? Like, fine, I will just sleep with you. No, that is the wrong thing to do. Let's go to the Word. You all know the human wisdom. Let's see what God has to say about this. Here's the support for you. Here's the strength for you. Here's the challenge for you, because this passage is not easy. Here it goes. Shh. Don't team up with those who are unbelievers. How can righteousness be a partner with wickedness? How can light live with darkness? What harmony can there be between Christ and the devil? There's an L missing. The devil, the devi. How can a believer be a partner with an unbeliever? This passage is usually used for marriage when I'm doing marital counseling for people I'm trying to help marry. And I'll ask them, like all these horrible, hard, difficult questions of like, so how did you meet? Like, okay, well, tell me about your faith backgrounds. Like, oh, you don't have a faith background, but you do. Okay, now we have a problem. Oh, you're living together. I have a problem. One of you is a Christian and the other one isn't. We need to talk through this. This passage is usually used for that. We usually used team up and partner and harmony. These strong words, we usually reserved them only for marriage. But our scholarship has gotten to the point now where we're saying things like, well, yeah, but that's not just for marriage. Like, where's the line between being in the world? Like, I mean, clearly you have to have friends who are unbelievers because God tells us to go love them, and God tells us to hang out with people who are unbelievers, and God tells us to share God's love with those who don't yet know him yet. And God tells us to like, hey, these are people who are made in his image. Be with them, love them, care for them. And yet we have this passage that says, don't team up with them. Like, wait a minute, God, you're like talking out of both sides of your mouth here. How do we do this? Do you guys get that part where Jordan, he was like, hey, the Christians, they're like cliquey and judgy, so I couldn't be with them. The people who welcomed me, the people who took me in as I was, they were all the people who didn't care. They're the partiers. It's weird, right? It's reversed in our world. If you think about what Christians have to say in the media, it's almost always something horribly negative. Oh, the southern states and the Caribbean islands deserve these tragedies because of this. God sent it to them because of this. Idiot Christians, shut up. If we had more room, if we were like an evening youth group, right now we'd be playing a game. And I would find the smallest girl I could, and I'd find the biggest guy I could, and I would tie you together. And then I would have you run in a direction, but I have the large guy, each of you running in like a slightly different direction. And it's hilarious because like usually the tiny girl goes flying, or he just has to pick her up and start carrying her. Like, which one do you think wins? The large guy or the little girl? If the large guy is pulling this way, and the little girl's trying to pull this way, and some dirty tricks. I had that once. I had a like the last time I thought this passage, she was like tripping the guy. She was like, it was funny. Hey, what did you all think? Seriously. All right, anyway. So what's the difference? Think about this honestly. What's the difference between being friends with someone versus being yoked to them? Yoked. Tied together. Like a farmer, like you'd put a yoke over two oxen, like this big bar thing, and like an egg yolk? Yeah. A yoke. A yoke. What's the difference between being good friends with someone? What's the difference between loving this person versus being yoked to them? This is hard. There's another passage. I told them, says Jesus, I told them many things while I was with them in this world so that they would be filled with my joy. I've given them your word, and the world hates them because they do not belong to the world, just as I did not belong to the world. I'm not asking you, God, to take them out of the world, but to keep them safe from the evil one. Father, this is Jesus praying, they don't belong to this world any more than I do. Make them holy by your truth. Teach them your word, which is truth. Just as you sent me into the world, I am sending them into the world. And I give myself as a holy sacrifice for them so that they can be made holy by your truth. Doesn't it kind of feel like God is saying, like, hey, go and be in the world. Love on everyone you meet. Doesn't matter. Just love and care for them. But then you also have these small caution passages that are like, oh, well, yeah, but, don't be yoked to them. Don't become the same thing as them. I told you guys that. I'll tell it again because I like the story. When I was in high school, first of all, you should know, I cannot drink alcohol. One, because I don't like the taste of it. And two, because it makes me violently ill because I don't have the enzymes to process it. I literally, biologically cannot drink alcohol. It makes me violently ill with about this much. Like, my parents sat me down and when I was in high school said, yeah, you're old enough, yeah? You got your driver's license. Have a little wine cooler. I'm so adult. I took a 4 sips and ran to the bathroom. My parents were cracking up. They're like, haha, you don't have the enzyme either. You can't drink alcohol. We're safe. I cannot drink alcohol. So I go to these parties in high school. and I want to be with my friends in high school, but I can't drink. And so I'm a Christian. I'm part of the leader of the Christian group. And so my best friend, who was also like a leader, he's like, hey man, let's go to this party. Let's like make a statement. My friend was like he's like a pastor even in high school. He's like, let's make a statement. Let's do something. It's like, okay, fine, what? And he hands me this giant like bottle, this giant can. It's a can. And he gets like a punch to the top, a punch to the top. It is pineapple juice. This thing is like a double fist, and you have to walk around like this to carry this thing. And so he and I are carrying these things around, and we're drinking pineapple juice out of these giant cans. And all of our drunk friends are like, dude, what do you got in there? And I'm like, it's pineapple juice. And I'm like, no, man, there's something else in there. Like, here, have some. And he's like, oh, dude, that's so good. Like, what's in that? Pineapples. No, man, I know, but what else? Juice. No. And so we became known as these guys walking around pineapple juice at the party. It's like we wanted to be here, we wanted to have fun, but we weren't going to drink, and we were stupidly carrying around these giant things of pineapple juice. So let me ask you a question. Which one are you? Are you the ox who is stronger? And excuse the term, are you a cow who is less strong? I know this is a bad analogy, this is not good. Like, are you the stronger one or are you the not strong one? Let's leave it that way. Are you pulling or is someone pulling you? All right. Take a couple of minutes in your group chats. And bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Let's change the mood a little bit. Let's take it down. By the way, again, the main service is running late again, so I'm just going to keep going. If you have to go, then you have to go. It's okay. Let's just kind of very quietly get up and go. But we're going to keep going. So we're going to kill the stage lights and house lights. And I think if you were paying attention, I think we identified the source of peer pressure. Everyone wants to have friends. Everyone wants to have friends. Everyone wants to have friends. That is the source of peer pressure. The difficulty comes when you'll accept any friend or any behavior. Actually, that's not a problem. The problem is when you start to yourself take on those behaviors where you are no longer indistinguishable from your friend. Like if your friend is distracting and you are distracting, it is hard to identify what the right move is. I think this girl here has I think she found some wisdom in her song. If you'll just give her a listen for a minute. The Toxic Love.